So here's a sleeper of an issue. At the top of the show today, we talked about how Republicans are so far giving up the opportunity to run on gay marriage, the traditional beloved wedge issue. But their other traditional beloved wedge issue is, of course, abortion rights. We here at the Rachel Maddow Show have been looking into this issue for this year's midterms for a couple of weeks now. And although it is not getting a lot of coverage, I think we can say that in a kind of quiet, sleepy way, the Republican Party is, without actually talking about it, this year nominating a group of candidates for top-of-the-ticket races that are more extreme on the issue of abortion than any other slate of top-of-the-ticket candidates in any year. Now, that assertion is the product of our review of these candidates' positions. It is open to debate, and I'd be happy to debate it with somebody, but so far, nobody's debating this. The reason that we're covering this tonight is because I think maybe we ought to be. Even if you just look at the United States Senate, even if you just look at Republican nominees and frontrunners for the Senate this year, the slate is amazing. Take, for example, Sharon Angle, the candidate Republicans chose to take on Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid in Nevada. Here's what Ms. Angle had to say back in January about abortion rights for the victims of rape and incest.
Is there any reason at all for an abortion?
Not in my book.
So in other words, rape and incest would not be something?
You know, I'm a Christian.
Right.
And I believe that God has a plan and a purpose for each one of our lives, and that He can intercede in all kinds of situations, and we need to have a little faith in many things.
That was January. In June, Sharon Angle shared the advice she would give to girls and women who she thinks should be forced to carry their rapists' babies to term.
When, you know, a young girl is raped by her father, let's say, and she is pregnant, I mean, how do you explain this to her in terms of wanting her to go through the process of having the baby?
I think that two wrongs don't make a right, and I have been in the situation of counseling young girls, not 13, but 15, who have had very at-risk, difficult pregnancies. And my counsel was to look for some alternatives, which they did. And they found that they had made what was really a lemon situation into lemonade.
So Sharon Angle, again, this is the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate, for the U.S. Senate seat currently occupied by Harry Reid. She not only thinks a pregnant teenage rape and incest victim should be forced to carry her pregnancy to term, Sharon Angle thinks of being a pregnant, raped teenager as a lemon situation that can be turned into a rape and incest lemonade situation. So that's Sharon Angle. Then there's Kentucky Republican Senate nominee and good friend of the Rachel Maddow Show, Rand Paul. Dr. Paul gave an interview to a local Kentucky newspaper back in January. He confirmed to the Middlesbrough Daily News that he is in fact pro-life, saying that the only time abortion should be legal is, quote, in the case of the mortality of the mother. Then the paper asked the inevitable follow-up question, quote, what about instances of rape or incest? Do you think that in these cases the decision should be left to the government rather than the families? Rand Paul replied, quote, in cases of rape, trying to prevent pregnancies is obviously the best thing. The morning after pill works successfully most of the time. Ultimately, we do better if we do have better education about family planning. Better education about family planning for rapists. He's being asked about rapists there and people committing incest. He says they just need to plan better for these families that they're making. We've been trying for 2 days now to get a clarification from the Rand Paul campaign about his position on abortion, about whether if there is an instance of rape or incest resulting in pregnancy, he definitely thinks it should be illegal for a woman to get an abortion. So far, he will not tell us. Neither Rand Paul nor anyone from his campaign will call us back. We did, however, find this on his website, a questionnaire from the Kentucky Right to Life Association. For the question, do you oppose abortion in cases of rape and incest, Rand Paul checked yes. But he still won't return our phone calls. In the great state of Colorado, that state's primaries are not until next week, but the current frontrunner for the Republican nomination for Senate in that state is a man named Ken Buck. Watch how quickly Ken Buck signs himself up for the Rape Victim Pregnancy Monitoring Caucus.
How do you feel about abortion? Are you for abortion, against abortion? If you're for it, in what instances would you allow for abortion?
I am pro-life, and I'll answer the next question. I don't believe in the exceptions of rape or incest.
Colorado's Ken Buck getting right to the point, jumping right in line with Sharon Angle and apparently with Rand Paul. All three candidates campaigning for the United States Senate as small government conservatives, all maintaining that government should be big enough that it should monitor every single pregnancy in the country to ensure that every single woman who becomes pregnant is forced by the government to carry that pregnancy to term. Women who are raped or who are the victims of incest should have their pregnancies monitored by the federal government so that the government can ensure that they are forced to give birth to the child that is the product of rape or incest. This is a position that was beyond the pale even in fringe anti-abortion politics not very many years ago. The idea of exceptions for rape, incest, and the life and health of the mother has been the bright line for even strongly anti-abortion candidates for a very long time. But apparently those days are over. Nobody's really talking about it, but this year's crop of Republicans believe that women should be forced to bear rapists' children. When I called this a sleeper issue, what I meant was that they're not apparently trying to make this a national issue. They're not trying to run on this as a national issue. I can understand why. But maybe Democrats should be making this a national issue.